Welcome to the Melissa Banks Show. I'm your host, Melissa Banks, and I'm excited you decided to join us today. This show is all about celebrating the journeys of authors, entrepreneurs, creatives, people who are boldly chasing their dreams, creating meaningful products and services, and inspiring others to do the same. Each episode will uncover the stories behind the successes, the lessons learned from challenges, and the advice that can spark action in your own life. My goal is to remind you that your dreams are possible and to leave you feeling inspired and empowered. So let's get started with today's show. Our guest today is Penda L. James. Penda is a writer, a scribe coach, and storyteller who has an incredible journey that she's going to share with us today. Welcome to the show, Penda.
Thank you so much, Miss Melissa. I'm excited to be here.
And we're excited to have you here and hear more about your journey. So, Penda, on this show, I'd like to start at the beginning. What sparked this journey that you have created for yourself, and how have you been able to bring that dream to reality?
What sparked this journey was Hubert Lee Lewis Pitt, my grandmother. I used to sit on her king size bed, and my fondest memories are of us reading Shel Silverstein poetry when I was little. She was a literacy specialist, so she demanded that I do well with reading and writing. And I fell in love with the power of words because of that.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
The second part of the question, could you repeat it for me?
And how did you turn the dream into a reality, though?
How did I turn the dream into the reality? I don't know. I don't think it was happenstance, but the words that were really moving around inside of me would not let me be still. And I
Mm.
had to figure out how to make them come alive and put on paper. And that started me on the journey of talking to people, reading books, and then eventually starting my own publishing company.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So, on my journey, Penda, and I often share this, is there are different stages on the journey. And sometimes something happens that really impacts who I am, my thought process, how I move next. And I consider those times a turning point or a defining point, if you will. Can you share
Hmm.
with us a moment that was a turning point for you in your journey, one that helped shape who you are today?
That's a really good question. I have a lot of rite of passage moments. That's what I call them. The rite of passage moments. They force you to make a change, or
Hmm.
those inciting incidents that force you to go on a journey. I would have to say that in my writing journey, it was when I was a student at Wilberforce University and I joined our student newspaper, and part of my role was one of the editors, and people would come and sit with me and I would help them unpack their stories, and I loved doing that and seeing the excitement on so many people's faces when they left the library or the caf or wherever we were. The excitement about finding their own words really ignited me. That is one thing. And I think, oh, to be more relevant of like this time period right now, losing both my parents. So I lost my mom in 2016 and my dad in 2022. And both of those losses, now I'm the matriarch. I'm like one of the matriarchs. I'm the oldest child, you know, and I am thinking about life differently.
Mm.
Those inciting incidents have changed the way that I write. I want to write about things. I've always written about things that were meaningful and leading people back to God. But now I want to write about things that make people think deeply so they can remember their own strength and write it down. You don't have to write a book, but you can start a podcast like Miss Melissa. You
Mhm.
can write a film. You could get up and do some poetry on stage. Whatever it is, we need to be more intentional about leaving our legacy. And that is something that has shifted me.
I love, love, love that. First of all, let me say sorry for your loss. That is a big loss. But you know what? I can hear your passion and your heart when you talk about that. And it's exciting to encourage people that listen, you don't have to be a big stage. It don't have to be a 400-page book. You can speak to the heart right here to the screen like we're doing right now. So thank
Yes.
you for that. I really appreciate that.
Yes.
I like to talk about Penda, some of the challenges. I like to celebrate the wins as well, but I do like to talk about some of the challenges that we face when we're on our journeys. So,
Hmm.
what was one of the challenges you faced, and how were you able to overcome it and not let it stop you?
This is a really powerful question. One of the challenges, one challenge that I often overcome, I had to overcome, and each time I write a book, it is the same thing. I feel naked after I write. I bear my whole entire soul. And after I'm finished and people are reading it, I feel that nakedness of like, I did it and I want them to read it, but is it okay? And having to really process that everything I write, even I look back at some of the things that I've written 6 years ago, and I would write it from a different place from where I am today. But the woman that I was in that moment, writing to the woman that I was 5 years before that, gave her what she needed. That is really one of the things that I overcome each time is the fear of what will people think.
Mm. It's something that you said that I just recently announced that I'm in the process of writing my very first memoir, right? So this is the first. Now I have other books. My books are mostly about inspiration or the event planning business, but this book is taking off the veils. So when you were talking, I was thinking, what a great way to describe it is the nakedness and that part of you that's afraid but ready to do it. So I can definitely relate to that and that feeling as we continue to uncover and write this book in the process that I'm in. So thank you so much. That spoke to me, and I'm sure it spoke to someone else as well.
You're
So
welcome. Good
yeah,
question.
yeah, thank you. So talk to me about what you hope people will walk away from with your products and services, your books that you write. How do you hope that it will impact their lives?
This question is very timely for me today because I'm so deeply reflective. I don't know if it's menopause or what, but I've been so reflective this past 2 weeks. I
Mhm.
want, after people meet me or leave my presence or read a book or whatever they're doing, that they interact or intersect with Penda L James, that they leave with powerful questions for themselves. I
Mm.
never want anybody to leave my presence feeling bad about themselves or feeling like I said something that was harsh. I'm learning that sometimes my tone and my language when I'm really passionate about something is very pointed.
Mm.
And I'm learning how to pull back because everybody doesn't need that sharp correction. And so I want when people read or sit in my presence that they walk away thinking about how wonderful they are. I want you to know when you leave that you have power to empower and inspire somebody else with your testimony. I want people to leave knowing that they have purpose and they have a calling that is necessary and that is important for them to walk in it.
Wow, I love that. When you speak, I want to hear more out of your mouth. You speak from the heart, and you can feel it when you're talking. So I really appreciate that. Let me reset right here, Penda. If you're just joining us, this is the Melissa Banks Show. I'm your host, Melissa Banks. Our guest today is Penda L James. Penda is a writer, scribe coach, and storyteller. Okay, Penda, talk to us. I want you to talk to us about a specific moment on your journey that was a challenge. It was difficult, but it has helped shape your perspective today.
I love this question. Last year, I challenged myself to write my novel, Running Between Dandelions. And I challenged myself the year before that, I think 2023 or 2024, I can't remember. I think it was 2023, to write a short film in 3 days. My challenge to write the novel was to write 70,000 word novel in 3 months. I didn't get it done in 3 months. I got it done in four because my best friend's mom died and life changed and I stopped writing. But Running Between Dandelions was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I say that because it's so precious to me. The story is about a woman who must understand her mother's story in order to overcome her fear of being an unfit mother.
Mm.
And I had a good relationship with my mom. We were very close, but I have regrets because I lived far away, 4 hours, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't go home when she asked me to come home. She was transitioning from breast cancer, and she asked me several times to come home and take family medical leave and come home. And I was like, "No, mom, I can't. I have to work. I can't come home. My baby's in the kindergarten, my husband." Like I gave her all these reasons why. But writing this book, I'm feeling it right now. Writing this book, I really wanted to honor her.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to honor her journey, um, questions that I can never ask her, things that came up for me while I was writing that my aunt and my mom's best friend said, "How did you know that?" I put on a poncho that my mom made, and a different character came alive that day.
Oh,
And she became like the heart of the story. And that was one of the most challenging things. Just writing about Black women and motherhood and relationships and sisterhood, intergenerational healing for me was not what I started out to do, but it
mm.
became this burden on my heart. And because I wanted to be obedient to the inspiration that God had given to me, I had to walk tenderly. And so feeling it, like one particular day, Miss Melissa, I had like three different kinds of headaches.
Oh, wow.
And I don't get headaches because I have hypertension. So if I have a headache, something is very wrong. But I had three different types of headaches, and each of my characters experienced those three different types of headaches, which showed me that intergenerationally, if we don't deal with some of these hurts that
Mm.
we have, it impacts us all differently. So the matriarch, her headache was like this. She was like rubbing her forehead. The next character, Joyce, the main character, she felt like she was in a cloud. And then the youngest character, Nitty, she felt like there was a crown on her head and somebody was taking a screwdriver and tightening it.
Oh, wow.
I hope that answers the question. I
Oh
just
my
got chills.
goodness.
I
Oh
can't
my
think
goodness.
of it.
It
Yeah.
absolutely did. First of all, congratulations on completing the journey of writing that book. That's just that was amazing. You walked us through that process and we could feel it as you spoke. So thank you for sharing that with us so very much. I really appreciate that a lot. So Penda, there's someone listening who has that dream in their belly. They want to write. They've always wanted to write, or maybe they want to tell a story that they just haven't been able to start. Starting can be the hardest part, even when we know we want to do it, know it's time to do it, but starting, just taking that first step. What advice would you give to someone that's just hesitant to take that first step toward their dream?
Pick up the pen and let your heart speak.
Oh,
Just pick up the pen and let your heart speak. Michael Jackson once said The songs write themselves. Now, we believe in the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit gives us inspiration, and that's how we write. I think when you say, I want to write a book, and you pick up that pen, you've now become an author. You can no longer say, I don't know how to get started because you picked up the pen. Even if every day you just pick up the pen, I want to write a book, and you walk around with the pen in your hand all day, it's putting into action what you say you want. Faith without works is dead. And not everybody can just pick up the pen and write. Some people, so you have to understand what your creativity process looks like. Some people need to talk it out. So that may mean you turn on the recorder and you just record yourself talking, or you go sit with a sister friend, turn on the recorder and you talk to your sister friend and let the computer transcribe what you're saying. Or you may need to turn on a video camera and just act it out. So there are lots of ways that you can get the words that you're thinking out of your head and onto the paper. They don't have to make sense right away. You just have to give them permission to leave your body.
I love, 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 love that. That's helped somebody to take that first step right there. That's did it. Pick up the pen and let your heart speak. I love, love, love that. So my next question is about you and your journey. Sometimes things are just tough on this journey, right? It's not always easy. Every day is not happy go lucky and everything flowing exactly like you wrote it down on your to-do list. So sometimes it's tough. Sometimes life is loud. Sometimes it feels overwhelming. How do you stay motivated during those times and focused on your goals?
Two parts. The first part is I have learned how to allow myself to feel what I'm feeling. So if I am having a sad day and I can't do anything, I'm allowing myself to feel sad, but I'm communicating to the people around me, I'm sad. I used to carry it. And I used to not let anybody know what was going on. I'm grieving. Like, my parents are gone. Like, my daddy's birthday just passed. So you think about something, you could be going so well, and then something will happen and you have to recalibrate, right? So for me, when I have those moments, I allow myself to feel what I'm feeling. I'm learning how to identify them and speak them out loud and ask for help. That's the first thing. The second thing is I have a community of people. I call them my unpluggable faith community. And whenever I work with writing clients, I tell them, look for your unpluggable faith community members. These are the people who will not let you fail. It comes from John 10:28, where Jesus said that nothing can pluck us from God's hand. My father taught me about the power of dandelions. Just real quick story. I had a really bad day. I called home trying to talk to my mom, and my dad answered the phone. And I told him, I was having a really bad day. And he said, don't be a tulip pen. What you mean? And he's like, dig your roots in deep, like a dandelion. He said, tulips are beautiful, but they die after 2 weeks. They come back, but dandelions are hard to kill. I want you to be like a dandelion. So I've started to study what dandelions mean, and the power of like drinking dandelion root tea is healthy for you, dandelions. So having people in my village, my unpluggable faith community that I can lean on, who will remind me of the promises that I'm expecting God for. They see in me what I don't always see in myself, and they speak back to me what I've been praying for. They pray for me. They speak back to me what God says about me. And I think that has helped me to overcome the most challenging things, especially when writing. When I was writing my novel, I sat on a Zoom with a writing partner for 8 hours. Literally, we both were working on our novels, and we were in the same class, and we sat on one night we were on the Zoom for 8 hours, and we got up the next morning at 6 and stayed on the Zoom for another 4 hours. And I think those kinds of things is what has helped me. I'm not perfect. I am not everything that I know I'm supposed to be, and I make mistakes, and I fall down sometimes. Like I said, I get sad sometimes, but I know there is a promise for me. And whenever I slip down or feel like I want to quit, I remember the promise. I remember the promise, and that's what I would say to anybody. If you're going through something and you know that you have something you want to do, remember the promise. I will never leave you or forsake you or fail you. You are the head and not the tail. Remember the promise, and that's how you can stay motivated.
Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. I am inspired and motivated. Everybody who's going to hear that, what she just said is allow yourself to feel it, but then put yourself in the presence of someone that can remind you of who you are. Thank you so much for that. That was powerful, powerful, powerful. And I know it helps so many people. Thank you for being here, Penda. This was
Oh, thank you
an
for having me.
inspiring conversation. Thank you for your transparency and sharing so much with us today. What's next for you? What can we look forward to? And let our audience know how they can stay
I
connected
am
to
so
you.
excited that you asked that question. So I'm going to answer the second part first. You can follow me on Facebook. Penda L James is my profile name. I have a website, pendaljames.com. I'm also on Substack, which I haven't been posting a lot there, but I am on Substack and I'm on Instagram. So you can, if you just Google my name, I'm going to come up. What is next for me? So I wrote a short film and I'm going into production very soon. So I've launched a crowdfunding campaign to help me get some sponsors, excuse me, and donors to help get this message of yellow. Yellow is the name of the short film. And like I said, it inspired the novel. So the log line for the short film is a woman must confront her unspoken anger towards her mother in order to prepare for the birth of her own child. So that's what's next. I'm really, really excited. It's been a dream of mine for a long time, long before I took a film class during COVID. I always knew that I wanted to be in the movies or be a part of the movie scene. And now it is coming to pass. I'm really, really excited about that. And I think that Joyce, or not Joyce, Annabelle is the character who is calling me to write her story. So she's the grandmother in Running Between Dandelions, and her story kicks off the book. But I think she's calling me to let the world know she's not as bad as they think she is, because she's she's living in some grief there. So that's what's next for me, to keep writing, to keep looking for ways that I can inspire and support other people in remembering their strength.
Well, thank you so much for that. Thank you again for being here. We're looking forward to all that's to come from you. And thank you again to our audience for joining us for the Melissa Banks Show. I'm your host, Melissa Banks. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Penda L James. And I hope it reminded you that your dreams are within reach, no matter where you're starting. So until next time, your journey is unique, your dreams are valid, and you have the power to design a life you love. So keep believing, keep dreaming, keep growing, and keep shining.